Hello everyone. I welcome you all to the day 2 of the webinar on Biofortified Crop Varieties to improve nutrition and income of farmers in Uttar Pradesh, India. Before we proceed with the session, I would like to invite Mr. Rajnikant Prasad to help recap the key takeaways from yesterday's webinar. Over the course of his career, Rajnikant has amassed over 20 years of experience in the field of development, specifically in the areas of project implementation, management and leadership, advisory, business development, partnerships in support of rural communities, agri-value chain interventions, critical management support for growing enterprises, and the creation and management of institutions and organizations are some of his key areas of expertise. As a project director, Rajnikant leads and directs agri initiatives at Grameen Foundation India. Over to you, Rajnikant, sir.
Thank you, Srishti. First that I would like to once again welcome to all the speakers today's audience. This important webinar. I hope that I'm audible. My voice is clear. Yesterday we had very important sessions, including that introduction about that Grameen Foundation in India. Apart from that, we had an opening session where we discussed about the role of government and private sector on promotion of this biofortified crop variety that we have discussed around that, and that we had two technical sessions. Two technical sessions mainly on that, basically on this biofortified crop variety, especially grain and durum wheat, to improve nutrition and income of farmers in Uttar Pradesh. Apart from that, we had a technical session on biofortified paddy variety, its PUP and impact to reduce vulnerability in security in Uttar Pradesh. We started with that on the introduction about the Grameen Foundation India and how that is addressing on this malnutrition, and especially that its intervention in eastern Uttar Pradesh with the help of this Harvest Plus, and around that with the help of this Harvest Plus that Grameen Foundation India has undertaking the more than 2,000 acres of this gene fortified wheat grain production, and that has again the prestige of that value chain intervention that has been taken up from starting from awareness of that this gene fortified seed grain production to that crop management to establishing market linkage. This has not only impacted at a nutrition level of the household, also impacted at income level by ensuring that by servicing the market linkages. So that initial session was taken by Sri Prabhatla, who is the Grameen Foundation India CEO. Apart from that, on the opening session, we had eminent speaker from Sri Pankaj Tripathi from State Institute of Agriculture Management from Uttar Pradesh. We had Dr. Vishnu Pratap Singh, who is the presently World Bank consultant on agriculture and food side. Apart from that, we had Sri D.K. Yadav from ICAR, and overall here the emphasis was there that how that different government agencies, how that private agencies, they are coming together and that contributing significantly on promotion of this by different biofortified crop. That how different kind of that crop, that the role of this ICAR, basically that in developing of this biofortified crop and its promotion. Apart from that, Dr. Vishnu Pratap Singh has mainly talked about how that with increasing population, this hidden hunger has been increased and it's impacting household health, especially women and children. And apart from that, Dr. Vishnu Pratap Singh has also talked about how this high use of this chemical fertilizer and pesticide has impacted the soil health, and ultimately which has affected this nutrition level of the crop, and ultimately that is affecting at a household level health, especially women and children. Apart from that, Dr. C.N. Mishra of ICAR has described about 4 different avenues to address this malnutrition, and especially that the role of this fortification and biofortification, that how this is helping to address this malnutrition. Apart from that, we discussed that how this biofortified helps in restoring nutrition and crop in natural and cost-effective way. That was the major talk, major that talk that Mr. Ian Mishra from ICAR that has given by him. Apart from that, he also discussed about how private agencies actively playing important role in distribution of this biofortified seed distribution channel, and gradually that how that this public-private partnership have been now that it's actively taking place, and that how that the required seed quantity of the biofortified it's reaching to a different part of the country. Apart from that, we had a technical session on this on this promotion of this biofortified paddy, and that here that National Rice Research Institute Cuttack it's playing a very active role in the implementation of the same, and that with the help of Grameen Foundation India, that especially in Eastern UP, that how that they are going to promote and especially on this seed production and that the grain multiplication with the help of farm producers organizations. This is basically that they are working in close collaboration with the Grameen Foundation India, and so this is all about the yesterday takeaway, and that I'll request Anita to take it forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rajnikant. Hello and welcome you all. I am your host, Anita Yadav. Thank you for joining us today's webinar on biofortified crop, which is for awareness building and creating opportunities to cultivate by the farmer and integrate into the government schemes and systems. A recorded version of this webinar will be available on our social media site. Yesterday, we covered 2 crops, wheat and rice. Today, we will cover 2 more, that is maize and mustard. For today's session, we have a guest speaker. Actually, we missed him yesterday because of network issue, Dr. Vinita Kumari from Harvest Plus. 3 key speakers, Dr. Pramod Kumar Rai, who will talk on mustard crop, Dr. Firoz Hussain, who will discuss about the maize, and Dr. Vinita Kumari, who will speak on role of women in diversification of crop and nutrition security. To proceed with the webinar, I would like to invite Dr. Vinita Kumari from Harvest Plus to talk about role of Harvest Plus in promotion of biofortified crop. Before starting his session, let me introduce him. Vinita Kumari is a country manager, India, Harvest Plus. He provides strategic leadership in his organization to facilitate an effective introduction, delivery, and consumers' acceptance of these varieties in our country. He is actively involved in building visibility and promoting these crops in India. He has successfully developed partnership platform with public and private institutions to scale up biofortified crop to reach to farmers. Before Harvest Plus, he worked in a private sector and has more than 20 years of experience in leading commercial agriculture projects. So please join us to welcome Dr. Vinita Kumari. Dr.
Thank you, madam. Thank you so much for that kind introduction. And once again, thank you so much for accommodating me once again for the session. I would like to once again express our gratitude to Grameen Foundation for organizing this a very important topic on biofortified crops to combat malnutrition and also to sustain income of farmers in the state of Uttar Pradesh. I would like to express once again my gratitude to CEO, Mr. Prabhat Lab, Mr. Rajnikant Prasad, Project Director, and all the eminent speakers of the session today, and all the wonderful team of the Grameen Foundation. We are extremely thankful for the Grameen Foundation for this kind collaboration that we have for promoting and disseminating biofortified crop, especially zinc wheat in the state of Uttar Pradesh. So with that, I will not delve into the malnutrition rates. That is something that we have discussed extensively yesterday. So Harvest Plus has been working on this novel agriculture technology called biofortification for the last 20 years or so. We believe that biofortification is a cost-effective, sustainable, and approach which starts from a rural area. And as the value chain, as the surpluses, as the infrastructure develop, it has the potential to reach the urban consumer. And we strongly believe that biofortification can complement the existing interventions like fortification and supplementation. Ideally, we all strongly believe that ideally, there should be an access and availability of a cost-effective, nutritious diet, which is still a challenge to many of the sections of the population. So it all started about 20 years back by Dr. Howdy Boyce, who happens also to be the World Food Prize winner for 2016. And 20 years back, the key stakeholders from agriculture, nutrition, and from extension asked three important questions. First was that, is it really possible to breed staple food crops with higher micronutrients? The second question was asked, if there is an increase in the micronutrients in the staple food crops, will it be still bioavailable? Can it really make an impact to the population who consume on a day-to-day basis? And the last question from the key stakeholders at that point of time, when the idea was still at a very infant stage, whether will the farmers really adopt these biofortified crops? I'm very happy to highlight that India is one of the leaders of biofortification at this point of time. Harvest Plus has been having a very strong, long-standing relationship and partnership with ICAR, state agriculture universities. And this has been I would say, a harbinger for technology translation, not only in Asia, but also in Africa. Some of the ICR's leadership has been to develop policies, especially the minimum standard for micronutrients, especially for pearl millet, which probably has been first time globally for biofortification. So biofortification makes sense primarily for two reasons. Why? Because these biofortified crops can be easily accessible to all the members of the family. And second is that it is an evidence-based strategy, that there is a lot of researches that have been done in order to garner evidence-based strategy. We are extremely thankful to our partners who have worked with Harvest Plus to generate these evidences. And we strongly, as I mentioned before, we strongly believe that it's a cost-effective strategy. Once these traits are incorporated into the germplasm, it stays in the germplasm, just like a dwarf trait, which was incorporated into germplasm during the Green Revolution. So over the years, the biofortification has enough proof of concept that biofortified crops are efficacious in nature. And there are more than 500 research papers establishes that improves the nutrition status. In India, Harvest Plus, in collaboration with stakeholders, have done 4 nutrition studies in pearl millet. We have completed one in zinc wheat. And recently we have one proof of concept which is published, which proves that iron pearl millet improves the brain function of adults and children. So biofortification in the last 20 years, more than 340 varieties of biofortified crops have been released in close to about 40 countries. I think so. Others, eminent speakers will highlight about India, but more than 100 varieties of biofortified crops have been released in India. So Harvest Plus have been closely working with staple food crops. But the other stakeholders globally have been also been working in other crops like vegetables and others. Harvest Plus believed that staple food crops can bring in more impact because poor sections of the pyramid, if you look at it, they eat large quantities of staple food crops, especially if you come to the south, it's more of rice, north more of wheat, and other staple food crops like pearl millet. So Harvest Plus started working on staple food crops. And in Asia, we have been closely focusing on rice, zinc wheat, and iron pearl millet. And there have been considerable advances in development of these varieties in the last 20 years, thanks to all the partnership and work that's been done by the ICAR, state agriculture universities, and to some extent, the large private sector partnership. And the other staple food crops that you see are largely staple food crops for Asia, for Africa, and Latin America. So for pearl millet, for iron crops, we focus on pearl millet and beans. And for zinc, we have been focusing on wheat, rice, and maize. And for vitamin A crops, we have been focusing on sweet potato, cassava, and maize. So Harvest Plus have been working closely with partners to ensure there's a constant supply and demand for these biofortified crops. How do we engage stakeholders in order to create farmers' meetings, creating awareness about biofortified crops? Also, Harvest Plus have been working very closely in order to develop policies, enabling environment for incorporating biofortified crops into potentially large food programs that we have. And also, how do we marshal evidences in favor of biofortified crops? We strongly believe that working across the value chain can help in developing long-term sustainable markets for biofortified crops. So initially, Harvest Plus focused on initial pathway, that is all the way from research, crop development, seed multiplication, and delivering it to the consumer farmers. So in this, we have close to more than 100 collaborative partnership in order to do the initial pathway that we call as crop development. ICAR, state agriculture universities, international centers like CGIAR form a chunk of the basic research partnership that we have. In the last 5 years or so, we have estimated that there is a lot of surplus that would be in the market. That means after the farmers grow and farmer consume, there would be more of surplus. And how do we channel these surpluses into the consumer markets so that we can create more additional value to the primary producers like farmers, and also to create additional value to the consumer markets? So we have been working in the value chain activities for the last 5 years or so, and we have some challenges which we would like to discuss. And so we strongly believe that this value chain approach will help in creating long-term sustainable markets. For pearl millet, we have been focusing in Rajasthan, Uttar Pradesh, Maharashtra, and Karnataka. Very happy to, as you all know, more than 10 hybrids of iron pearl millet have been released by all the state agriculture universities and ICAR. Zinc wheat, we strongly focus on Uttar Pradesh. The whole program started in Eastern UP about 10 years back. And then we have a very strong program in collaboration in the state of Bihar. We work very closely with the Jivika, State Agriculture University, and the Ministry of Agriculture. We also have a long-standing partnership with PAU, and we have a program in Punjab also. But there are also a lot of opportunities of promoting zinc wheat and zinc rice in other adjoining states. Last year, we tested some of the zinc rice varieties, in the state of Odisha, Bihar, and Uttar Pradesh. So these are some of the examples how we have been able to create some marketing activities, posters. But initially, the bigger challenge was that how do you communicate about a hidden trait like iron and zinc to the farmers? So we dwelt on creating more, what I mean to say, graphic design, so that the farmers who are not even educated can understand about and know about the biofortified varieties. Subsequently years, we have been working very closely with the stakeholders in order to create awareness through farmers meeting, closely working with KVKs for product demonstrations, and also with the private sector to create awareness. So overall strategy of Harvest Plus has been, as I mentioned, the initial pathway of developing varieties, multiplication of the seed, taking it to farmers, communicating about the benefits about biofortified crops. With my limited experience, I would say the biggest challenge that we have is how do you communicate to the farmers about the benefits of biofortified crops? That remains the biggest challenge. And we have done a small scale activities in this place where we work in partnership, but that needs a very large partnership, large collaboration in order to create awareness about the benefits of biofortified crops. As I mentioned, as we develop more surpluses of biofortified crops, we have been looking at how do we develop partnership so that it can be linked into large food and nutrition program that we have. I'm very happy to let you know that Harvest Plus have recently signed an MOU with Akshay Patra, and we have been looking at how do we integrate, test these biofortified crop into the existing recipes that Akshay Patra has, so that it can reach to the school children's. We also have been working on policy front, and we have recently completed policy roundtable discussions in the state of Bihar, UP, and also in Odisha to understand how can these crops can be integrated into the large food and nutrition programs in India. And that's also very good opportunity because, as you all know, about 20 to 25% of the production is procured, rice and wheat production is procured by the government. And the last part of it is that we have been working very closely with some of the medium to small scale food processing companies to incorporate biofortified crops either as an ingredient in the existing programs, or it can be as a new product pipeline. We recently have been working with a flour mill in Punjab to launch zinc wheat atta in Punjab. And also there are other partnership programs that has just started and various stages of discussion. So I'm happy to let you know that Harvest Plus has a long-term goal to touch about 1 billion people by 2030 in Asia, Africa, and Latin America. And I'll pause here. And once again, I wish to thank Grameen Foundation and all our important stakeholders, ICAR, state agriculture universities, and private sector, farmers, producer groups, who have made this whole mission of scaling biofortified crops in India. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Binu Cherian. Thank you very much for sharing minimum standard format, because it was one of the query of our audience, and that varieties of 340 near about vegetables and staple food, and the different strategy you use to communicate to farmer about this crop. So I again thank you, and we would like to proceed for the next session, which will be by Dr. Pramod Kumar Rai. He is a director ICAR of Rapeseed Mustard Research Bharatpur. As a director ICAR and All India Coordinated Research Project on Rapeseed Mustard Research, he played instrumental role in developing linkages with the state universities and ICAR. Yeah, please, sir. So,
am I audible?
Taking that much time, I would like to invite you to deliver the session.
Yeah. So thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. A good afternoon to all of you. And I think more than 50 participants are linked, and I don't know. I would like to know whether farmers are also linked with this, or only the participants. Who are the participants actually?
Sir, actually, these participants are from stakeholders, government, private, and donor, development professional, as well as farmers, sir, and
Okay. Okay. So, first of all, I would like to just congratulate the Grameen Foundation for taking this initiative to hold this very important webinar on biofortified crop varieties to improve the nutritional and incomes of the farmers of particularly Uttar Pradesh. So in this rapeseed mustard context, I would like to say that up to 1984-85, Uttar Pradesh was the highest producer of this particular crop, group of crop. And the area was also highest among all these states. But gradually, with the massive adoption of rice wheat cropping system in entire Indo-Gangetic plain, and this crop area has decreased and production also decreased in Uttar Pradesh, and gradually it gained momentum in Rajasthan, and at present the highest area as well as production is coming from the Rajasthan. And this when this rapeseed mustard was very much popular in the Uttar Pradesh during or up to 1980, 84, like that. Then the yellow mustard was dominating entire cultivation. But gradually this yellow mustard, this because of the low productivity, this Indian mustard has taken place of this yellow mustard, which was this. In fact, in Vedas also there is mention of this mustard, and that is yellow mustard because of its nutritional and medicinal qualities. So now more than 85% area is under Indian mustard, that is Brassica zincea. So coming to the point that this nutritional and this functional properties of oil, basically it is determined by the fatty acid composition in any of the oil, and it's this distribution pattern of this fatty acid in the glycerol. And a good percentage of essential fatty acids like linolenic acid, linolenic acid in rapeseed mustard oil makes it desirable as far as nutritional point of view is concerned. And but simultaneously high erucic acid, about 40 to 57%, just lowers its utility as the edible oil. And because of this, efforts are being made to breed the varieties having low erucic acid. And consumption of oil with more than 20% erucic acid in the diet causes myocardial fibrosis and lipidosis in monkeys. It is a research it was done. And the meal remaining as byproduct after the extraction of oil, again, this is another valuable product, and it contains high amount of the protein and this favorable composition of amino acids. But simultaneously, there is the problem of glucosinolate, which is much higher in comparison to the quality mustard. So these quality parameters in comparison to other popular sources like soybean, the mustard meal contains high amount of anti-nutritional compounds, that is I have mentioned glucosinolates, and cleavage products from hydrolysis of these glucosinolates reduces the feed palatability by affecting the iodine uptake by the thyroid glands in particularly non-ruminants including pigs and poultry. And this makes this quality by the developing new varieties. We are trying as an alternative to produce the seed meal having less than 30 micromole per gram of deflated seed meal and less than 2% of the erucic acid. And these are some quality standard, nutritional quality standard saturated fat, this fat and oleic acid, linolenic acid, linolenic acid, and saturated fatty acid, which is the ratio of MOPA and FOPA. And this omega-6 and 3 ratio and trans fatty acids, tocopherol. So in all aspects, this oil is fit except two parameters, that is erucic acid, and in seed meal, of course, that is glucosinolate. And another component, that is oleic acid, is a monounsaturated omega-9 fatty acid, which is found in high this quality of the this vegetable oil, and oleic acid has no ill effect on the human body and also increases the shelf life of the oil. And therefore, this low saturated fats and high oleic acid, moderate amount of linoleic acid and low linoleic acid are considered to be the ideal for the this edible purposes. In India, this oil is obtained from Digencia, which I mentioned, that is Indian mustard, and 80%, more than 80% area is under this crop, and this have high erucic acid, about 40 to 55%, and low amount of oleic acid. So this is a problem where much attention has been paid, and progress has been made in recent past in terms of reduction of erucic acid up to the international standard, that is less than 2%, and simultaneously increasing the this oleic acid content and also decreasing the glucosinate content in the fatted seed meal. So there are some varieties I have just mentioned. Here you can say that oleic acid is highest in Pusa mustard 22, which is low erucic acid variety, means quality varieties. And these are some of the varieties. Actually, in fact, Pusa Charisma was the first variety which were developed, the quality material, and later on Pusa mustard 22, 21, 24, RLC1, PDZ1, which is double low variety, means it is having the less than 2% of erucic acid and less than 30 micromole of this glucosinolated indicated seed meal. So this is the NRC SB101, which is a popular variety. It is non-quality material. Here you can say, you can see that the erucic acid content is much higher as compared to the quality materials. So this breeding for this erucic acid and low erucic acid glucosinolated started way back in 1970 to breed either having the low erucic acid or low glucosinolated, that we commonly call it zero single low quality material and double low quality material. Both of the characters are present, that is less than 2% erucic acid and less glucosinolate. And first low erucic acid Indian mustard variety, as I mentioned, that Pusa Charisma, and the first double low variety of Gobi Sarso GSC5 were released in 2004 and 5 respectively. The first double low variety of Indian mustard was PDZ1, which was developed by one of my colleagues, Dr. Yadav, who is easy, and from the IRI, and subsequently 8 single low quality varieties have been released in Indian mustard, and 8 double low quality Kalona quality in the have been released in Indian mustard 2 and Gobi Sarso 6. And this current efforts are made, just massive efforts are being done to breed the varieties having the quality characters. And these are some varieties, again, I have already mentioned, and these are varieties which I mentioned here. It is all recommended for the Uttar Pradesh, for the cultivation in Uttar Pradesh. So farmers can use these varieties. Low erucic acid varieties are this, and then these are some more varieties, PM29, PM30, PM32. This was developed from the IRI, RLC3, and Pusa, this 00 mustard, PDZ1, and Pusa 0033, which was also released as a quality material by the Prime Minister. Biofortified varieties, and one hybrid is also there, RCS1, which is also recommended for this Uttar Pradesh. And these are the some double low varieties, Hyala hybrids, and then GSC7, this, and double low high oleic acid varieties are there also, and some low erucic variety GSC5. And these are the sources, in fact, for developing the quality materials. We have the different sources, and less than 50% oleic acid, this variety, these lines can be used for breeding for the quality materials, or we are using these, and Then some anti-nutritional factors are also present in seed meal of the mustard, like phytic acid. So less than 2% phytic acid containing germplasm are there, which are being used for breeding the quality materials, and sources of omega-3 fatty acid less than 12%. This is also available. So all these lines are being used by the different centers to breed the quality materials. So this is again in continuation, the sources of omega-6 fatty acid less than 15% and tocopherol more than 150 mg per gram per 100 gram seed meal, and carotenoid, another quality parameter which is required, that is more than 10 mg per gram of per 100 gram of seed meal. For this we have the registered germplasm and ascorbic acid more than 100 mg per 100 gram of seed meal. The germplasm is available. So this is the components of this different components actually, in fact, which is responsible for the I'm coming to the second part of this presentation, that is the technologies, production and production or PUPs available. So by using the improved varieties, only the farmers can enhance their yield by 9 to 45%. And if farmers are using recommended dose of fertilizers, then this has the impact on increasing the productivity up to 18%. Sulfur is in fact very crucial fertilizer, and of course after NPK it is being considered nowadays fourth important nutrient which is required by the oilseed crops, particularly the rapeseed mustard crop. And thinning to remove the excess plant and other intervention which again increase the productivity by 16%. Timely weeding just after the first irrigation, 5-6 days after first irrigation, that is the crucial time when plant population has to be maintained by this thinning, as well as the weeds should be removed, and this again contribute up to 27% in increasing the productivity. So these are some practices, agronomic practices, and for under this both actually rapeseed mustard is being cultivated in both irrigated as well as rainfed conditions, and for irrigated conditions if receding monsoon rain is not sufficient, then one has to go for the pre-sowing irrigation, and this is followed by 3-4 harrowing and plowing. And under rainfed condition, this harrowing should be carried out after every effective showers in monsoon. Farmers do this practice actually. They go for the repeated harrowing and planking for the conservation of the moisture. And the sowing time, again, it has a very crucial role in this rapeseed mustard production. And the optimum sowing time is from the 10th of the October to 25th of October. Somewhere we have the varieties which are suited for the early sowing, and some varieties are also available, but not of the quality material. They are the non-quality material for late sowing. But the sowing should be done preferably within this window of this 10th October to 25th October. And for yellow sarso, again, there is some area under this yellow sarso in Uttar Pradesh. And this time of sowing for this yellow sarso is first fortnight of October. And the toria should be sown during the first fortnight of September, quite early. Actually, if rain is there and moisture is there, then before going for the wheat crop, one can take the toria crop in between. And this is the seed rate and line sowing. In fact, in Rajasthan, Haryana, Madhya Pradesh, and some part of Delhi, the farmers, they go for the seeding with the seed drill, but in the rest of the states, particularly Uttar Pradesh, still the farmers go for the broadcasting, and broadcasting plant population could not be maintained properly, and this again impact the productivity negatively. So this seed treatment, again, it is very much required for this crop, because there are certain diseases which I will discuss later on. So seed treatment should be there, and preferably if one is going for this treatment of this soil-borne pathogens, then seeds should be treated with the trichoderma antagonistic fungus. And then this is the some recommendation which we recommend to the farmers, like this application of some rhizobacteria, azotobacters, and palm manure, and then mustard extract can also be incorporated there itself in the farm. And then this as usual the practices we follow, that half of the nitrogen we recommend for the application after first irrigation. And one intervention here I would like to say that instead of DAP, we are recommending the use of single superphosphate, because in single superphosphate 2.5 quintal per hectare, the sufficient required amount of sulfur is received from this single superphosphate. Instead using DAP, if DAP farmer is using, then he has to use 40 kg of sulfur per hectare additionally. So sulfur is now recognized, as I was mentioning, as the fourth major nutrient in addition to NPK, and it is the constituents of cysteine and cysteine of methionine, and sulfur deficiency areas has been identified. And as far as Uttar Pradesh is concerned, 17 districts are there in the Uttar Pradesh which are severely deficient in sulfur. So sulfur should invariably be recommended for this cultivation, in the cultivation of rapeseed mustard. Thinning and weeding, as I have already mentioned, that it has the very vital role and crucial role in increasing the productivity. And this thinning operation, this should be done after 21 to 25 days of sowing, and wheat this causes significant loss, yield loss. And this again, one can go for this weeding operations 15 to 20 days after sowing, and if required, then after 35 to 40 days of sowing. There is no herbicide, in fact, which could be the post-emergence herbicides are not available in this case in rapeseed mustard. So whatever herbicides are available, that is all pre-emergence herbicide. And one of them is pendimethalin, which is very effective, and it is used as a pre-emergence herbicide. And irrigation management, sometimes farmers, they complain that particularly in the Uttar Pradesh, where irrigation facility is there, sufficient facility is there, then farmers, they go for 3-4 irrigations. No, by giving 3 irrigation, the oil content reduced by 1 to 1.5%. So farmers are advised to only use 2 irrigations. One is the 30 to 35, 45 days after sowing, and another at the stage of silico formation, that comes about 60 to 70 days after sowing. The mustard crop seed yield increased by 24% using micro sprinkler, and this irrigation efficiency also increases by 60 to 70%. And again, this is increased by 18% using drip irrigation. Here, irrigation efficiency increases by 80 to 90% over the check basin irrigation. And then harvesting and threshing, another very important actually operation, where farmers many times they fails to recognize the crop, whether it is the condition to be harvested. So one thing is that 75% pods, if it turns golden yellow in color, then that is the best time to go for the harvesting. And the crops would preferably be harvested in the morning. And when pods are damp and with night dew, and this minimize the scattering losses. So, and threshing should be done preferably by using threshers, and seeds should be sun dried for at least 1 week to reduce the moisture content. Because when this moisture content is there in the soil, this seed, it is not fit for threshing. So after harvesting, after this should be actually kept and left in the field for drying for another 4-5 days. Then it should be brought on the threshing floor, and then go for the threshing, and then prepare the heap, and then sun dry it up to the moisture level 10% in the seed. And then intensification of Bresca production system. This more crops per year suitable to climatic situations, and then incorporation of legumes in the cropping system should be there, and more time soil surface should be covered to conserve the moisture. And for Uttar Pradesh, some of the cropping systems are very suitable. And in this this is the fellow this rice and mustard cropping system in Gomti Diara and wheat plus mustard, and maize, toria and wheat cropping system in Saryu Diara. And this remunerative cropping system, some of the cropping system we found very remunerative, that is toria plus sugarcane intercropping, and then mustard, wheat intercropping, mustard potato intercropping, and in rain-fed areas mustard and gram. So intercropping with wheat, and this wheat plus mustard because we are running this coordinated project from different centers. So Varanasi and Kanpur centers we are having. So there in the Varanasi centers, it is the more remunerative than their sole crops at their respective centers. And however, the sole mustard at Kanpur center was more rewarding than their intercropping. So farmers has to find out whether sole crop is good and it is more remunerative or the intercropping, and accordingly he can adopt intercropping. So coming to the second next part of this, there are certain insect pests and diseases of this particular group of crops, and these are the 5-7 diseases this insect pest which usually affects the mustard crop in Uttar Pradesh. Otherwise, there are a long list of the insect pests, but these I have just started out with those insect pests which badly affects the this crop in Uttar Pradesh, and these are some management practices. Means there are the practices are available for this plant production practices, and one has to go for this. And continuous watching and vigilance is required of the crop. Whenever found this feed infestation or planted bag, then accordingly we can go. Leaf, this pea leaf miner is also affects, and mustard supply. So for all these insect pests, we have the control measures, we have the management practices available, and can be used to minimize the losses. And there are some diseases, 4-5 diseases, important diseases: sclerotinia, malaria, leaf blight, and powdery mildew, and white rust. These invariably affect this mustard crop in Uttar Pradesh. And for all these diseases, we have the control measures. And seed treatment is always advisable wherever it is possible. And one should go for the seed treatment. And if after seed treatment, if the disease appears in the standing crop, then there are some fungicides, specific fungicides, which can be utilized for controlling the disease. So this was all about the mustard and this fortified varieties, some biofortified varieties which are available for the cultivation. And the packages and practices all are available, either it is for the crop production practices or crop protection. So thank you very much for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for introducing us various available biofortified mustard varieties, its POPs, and pest and disease management, the technological component to improve its production. So again, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Moving towards the second session, we have Dr. Vinita Kumari, Deputy Director, Gender Studies, Manage Hyderabad. She will speak on the role of women in promotion of biofortified crop and crop diversification and nutrition. So just to brief her introduction, she is managing one of the center in agriculture and food nutrition security, urban farming. She is principal coordinator of PG DAEM program at Manage. She had previously worked as an assistant professor, extension and communication management in College of Home Science, Central Agriculture University, Tura, Meghalaya, for more than 13 years. Her area of specialization includes women empowerment, gender studies, women in agriculture, community nutrition, rural development, food and nutrition security, urban agriculture, and microgreen. So I would like to welcome again Vinita Kumari ji. Now floor is yours, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Anita madam. for introducing me before the audience, and thanks to Grameen Foundation also for giving this opportunity, this platform to share my views on women, importance of women in agriculture, particularly with reference to nutritional security. So I will be sharing my slides here. Please let me know if you are able to view my screen. Is my screen visible to everyone? Okay.
Yeah, ma'am.
So today I'm going to discuss about the role of women in crop diversification and nutritional security. We all know that now India is doing pretty well in terms of production. We are into export, but still if we look into the nutritional status of our country, particularly women and children, we see that the situation is very alarming. We are still to walk us several miles before we reach Sustainable Development Goal 2030 of zero hunger. So in initial beginning, I want to tell about what is food security and nutrition security. We often talk food and nutrition security, which may sometimes mean that they are more or less same or what may be the exact difference. When we talk about food security, we means that every individual or of a given country should have at least 3 times a meal for all 365 days. So it means there should be at least the minimum 3 meals for 365 days for all individuals, which relates with availability of food, accessibility of food, affordability of food. So these are some of the parameters on which food security is assessed. But if we talk about nutritional security, it is much beyond just availability, affordability, but it also includes the adequate health and care, because hygiene and sanitation is prime importance here. Even if we have food availability, we have abundance of food availability, we have all the means to access, but if those are not handled in a hygienic conditions, if the proper hygiene and sanitations are not maintained during production, post-production, or during the value chain, definitely it leads to frequent illness, and due to frequent illness, the utilization of the nutrients will be severely impacted, and that is where the nutritional security will be affected. So whatever the consumption is there, that will not translate into nutrients and will not be absorbed by the body. So that is why nutritional security, we also add another dimension, that is having a sanitary environment, very healthy environment. So that is why now for most of the programs where we talk about food security, we talk of nutrition security, we talk about nutrition sensitive agriculture, we are also focusing on hygiene and sanitation, because this is very important, which often is overlooked or not given so much importance, that how it can lead to malnutrition. So this is one important factor. So that is why nutrition security is beyond these things. So going ahead, we also have to understand the nutrition status of our country. So as we can see in this slide here, for a period of over more than 30 years, we can see over the period of 3 decades, we can see how India has fared in terms of undernutrition. So if you can see here, over the period, we have come down from 23.7 to 14.5%. So undernutrition is still there. This is the data with respect to 2016-18. Now, so the thing that I want to highlight is there that the world average undernutrition percentage is 10.5, whereas 10.7, and we are at 14.5. And also, if you look at the other countries like which are less developed than India, like South Africa, there is only 6.2% undernutrition, but we are at 14.5. This is one aspect of understanding how severe undernutrition is a concern for our country. And also, if you look at the data of National Health Family Welfare 5, which was released last year, recently, considering the data up to 2019. So there also we understand that undernutrition, stunting, wasting, all these parameters, which are key parameters for understanding the malnutrition status of any country, we see that India has come down. It has, instead of improving, we have come down. And this data is up to 2019, which is pre-COVID time. So it means that when we get the next National Health Family Survey 6 data, which will cover the pandemic period also, COVID period, so we can well imagine that what will be the status or where we will be in terms of these indicators. So from these point of view, malnutrition, food security, nutrition security, these are very important in our Indian context. So looking at the Global Hunger Index, this is the data of 2021, where we see that India stands out at 101 out of 116 countries. This is also a matter of concern that out of 116, our hunger index is at 101, which is even below some of the less developed countries than India, like Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Pakistan, earlier in this 2020 Global Hunger Index, we were at 94th position. From there, we have slipped it down to 101 position. So it means definitely all those factors that are working towards nutrition security or towards food security is not either the amount of efforts that are put in is not adequate, or the direction in which we are working is not correct enough. So something is missing out. So there are some weak points in this pathway which we need to address. And one of this weak pathway which we can identify is focusing on women. We often miss these important points. So this is where we can justify that why women is important in agriculture, in crop diversification, for nutrition security. So we also look at the global gender gap. Here also we see that India stands at 135 position out of 146 countries, and this is the data of 2022. So it means there is still a wide gender gap between the resources that are available for men and what are available for women, the control and use of those resources. Also, there is a wide gap in agriculture also, and it is said that according to FAO statement that if we address gender issues in agriculture, if we provide equal access to and control over resources in agriculture, the food production will increase by 10 to 20%, which will be sufficient to feed many small countries together. So this is where also we can justify why we need to focus on women when we talk of agriculture, when we talk of foods and nutrition. So this is another point. So also if we look at, we have already seen where we stand in undernutrition with respect to the world average and with respect to some other countries. So here also we see that the data which we had presented graphically in the previous slide, mentioning the 2016-18 data, so that 14.7% undernutrition is equivalent to or is equal to 194.4 million people. So nearly 200 million people are undernourished, which is majorly consisting of children below 5 years of age and women. So this is also another reason why we are talking of gender, or we are specifically very particularly focusing on women, because they are the major connecting link in this value chain or in this whole cycle. So this is where we need to give importance to them. So another question arises that why we should talk of crop diversification when we are talking about food, nutrition security, food security. Why it is that now we have to look at crop diversification as one of the strategy, one of the means to achieve it. Firstly, because this is the low cost strategy for overcoming micronutrient deficiency that we also refer as hidden hunger, because they are already into farming. They are producing either the staple crops or some other livelihood things as a backyard, as a front yard, or in other ways. So they are already into growing, practice into growing something. So only we have to either add some things into that. That is just an add-on. So whatever they are doing currently, we need to balance it. We need to add on something so that it makes their food system nutritionally balanced. It makes their local food system self-sufficient in all aspects of nutrients, and which is very easy if we go through the existing or the already established channels that is there. They already are into that established channels. We just need to focus on the things which are missing in their food system. So it is a very low cost strategy. And also it is feasible for small and marginal farmers, because we all know that almost 80% of our Indian farmers belong to this category, where they have a very small piece of land. And so it is very easy that if they have fragmented land, so they can do in small pieces of it. They can, in one small pocket of land, they can have some staple crops. In another point, they can have some vegetables. In another, they can have some poultry related things, or some dairy related things, or they can have an artificial pond within small areas. So it is easy for them if they have a fragmented land, no need of dividing the lands and then following them. So it is in that way also looking at the demographic profile of our farmers. Also, it is very easy to promote. So the another question is that why we want to emphasize women in crop production. There are many reasons for that. Several reasons are there why we need to emphasize women, why we have to go and sensitize our women farmers to go for crop diversification. Firstly, in that women are the ones who are mostly carrying out or engaged in homestead activities. These homestead activities are the activities that women do basically by being in and around their homes. Whatever they can do in and around their homes, it is very convenient for them, so that they can look into the poultry, they can look into the dairy animals, or if they have a poultry, if they are into mushroom cultivation, if they have an apiary along with that. So whatever they can do along with that, it is very, while doing their other household activities, they can take care of these things also. So that is why we need to tell our women farmers that if they are into some crop production, they should also bring these things into their system. And also it is a response to climate change. We all are known now that we are facing severe climate impacts of climate change. We are all now concerned about how we have to safeguard our food system and from this adversity of climate change. And we know that women are the ones who are working basically for the crops like millets are one of the crops that is very much tolerant to adversities of climate change. They are very much suitable, and though these millets doesn't require much care, attention, and women are to be promoted for millet production. And also next year we are celebrating International Year of Millet. So as a part of that, women can be roped in to get into millet production, because it can be any circumstance, whether whatever climatic conditions are there, whatever the land status, soil health status is there, it can very well be adjusted to all these situations. So women can take those things where, because now due to climate change, even it is having an impact on the nutrient composition of the food that is harvested due to these climatic impacts. So now the nutrient, we analyze the nutritional composition of foods over the period, we will see that the nutrient composition in the foods that we harvest is also coming down as a result of climate change. So that is where now we have to go for nutri-cereals, because millets are called as nutri-cereals. So these are already nutrient dense. So then that is one way, and also they are engaged in subsistence farming. Women are mostly engaged in subsistence farming, whereas men are engaged into commercial crops, cash crops. So only when we focus on women, so that they are already into the subsistence farming, so we can very well ask them to put some mushroom also, put some berry also. But the men farmers who are into cotton production, who are into jute production or cashew nut production, such commercial value crops, for them it is difficult to ask them to integrate some legumes, some vegetables, some fruits. So it goes very well into the system that the women are into, engaged into the type of practices. They are also responsible for the family's health and nutrition. We all are very much convinced with this statement that women take care of the nutritional needs of the family by way of planning their meal, or what to cook and what to serve to the family members. So in a way, they are solely or primarily responsible for the health of the nutrition of the family. So it is advisable that we bring those, target these women into these type of interventions or programs where we need to target nutrition and health of the community. So another thing is that we have to understand that women are already at the center of agriculture and nutrition linkages. Why they are critical, and what a critical role do they play is can be seen here that what we have just discussed, that agricultural productivity, women's health and nutrition is impacted by the agricultural productivity, or whatever is the production that is reflected in terms of the food security, is reflected in terms of income security. So that will also impact the women's health and nutrition. If you see again, they are agricultural laborers, mostly almost 48% of the women farmers are engaged as agricultural laborers. So being as an agricultural laborers, they are contributing to this nutrition and agriculture. They are also take care of the family. They are looking into the health and nutrition. So this can very well summarize what I have mentioned in my previous slide. So if you look into the women's empowerment indicators, that is decision making. Decision making is one of the most important indicator of women's empowerment. So if we give enough control over resources and access to resources, women will be able to take much better decision at the various stages of the agricultural operations, and that they can take a decision to diversify their farming system. So only if we give them enough freedom, enough access to exercise their decision making power, then they will be able to take relevant decisions related to diversifying them. Otherwise, if we don't give them that freedom to decide to take decisions, then for everything they have to consult their family members and then do accordingly. But women are also one important factor, that women have a very rich knowledge, experience of the local food system in terms of the indigenous knowledge, indigenous practices, the underutilized foods, the locally available foods in there, which are always often neglected or ignored, or they are forgotten foods or like underutilized foods. So women have a very strong knowledge and experience in these fields. So that is where they can bring these rich knowledge and experience to diversify their food system. So now, if we connect all these dots of women, crop production, nutritional security, then we can understand that why all these three are the connecting dots for addressing nutritional security. So we can, that women are producers of different food that we consume. So they are not just the consumers, they are the producers. We all know that women in India, it is a feminization where women are taking major share of the agricultural activities. So being a food producer, and they are also the economic and social access to food by way of having a control over the income and employment. So whatever they earn, if they are given enough access to control their decisions over those income or employment, then they can be better able to procure good food for the family. Only when we give them enough opportunity, enough control to exercise their decision, then they can decide what type of food they want for the family, how much money to be spent, if they are all free to decide on all these things. So we need to focus on women, so that once we sensitize their family members, it is not only women, but the entire family member, including the spouse, the in-laws, their grown-up children, so that why the women is at the center of all these issues. So also in nutrition insecurity is also there because of lack of time for feeding and care, because we feel that one of the disadvantages of that increased involvement of women farmers in agriculture is that time poverty. Because women are working at home, at field, taking care of so many household related things, so they are getting less time to focus on themselves, and sometimes even on taking care of the property, taking care of the child and the other family members. So because of this nutrition insecurity, because if we are not giving enough attention to our diet, our nutrition, and also of our children, definitely it will reflect in the nutritional outcomes of the children when they grow up, or the women who give birth to their children. So all these are reflected in these ways. So that is why nutrition insecurity has to be addressed. And because women are facing the time constraints, so we need to, one of the way will be to share the workload, gender division of labor. So where both are helping each other, and men are helping at home, women are contributing in the field also. So it just goes hand in hand, so that they can relieve each other and each get sufficient time for taking care of the focusing on themselves also. And another is that they are the custodian. Any issues from my end? They are also the custodian of seed conservation. If you see any agri biodiversity festival, if you see any biodiversity festival, you see that women are there who are organizing these type of biodiversity festivals, who are leading in these things, because they are having rich knowledge and experience of the seeds, because they are into seed selection, seed storage, seed treatment. They have a good knowledge, rich experience of different varieties of seeds. So if we, being the custodian of the seed conservation in the community, if we focus on them for crop diversification, they will be a better person to decide what type of things can be for their layout. Whatever is the available land in and around their home and field, they will be able to do the proper layout of the available areas in which they can bring all different food groups, which is important to make their food basket nutritionally balanced. Another thing is that we can look at is that they are the primary caretakers at home, as I have already mentioned. They are taking care of the children, family members, elderly members of the family. So they should be educated, they should be empowered, and they should be capacity building. Their capacity should be built so that they are knowledgeable, they have the skills, they have the proper attitude and everything that is needed, so that they bring all these factors that are required for making their local food system sufficient. That is why we are now building the capacities of our extension functionaries under a UN FAO project, where we had worked with FAO to develop a training module for different categories of extension advisory service providers, so that we can make their local food system, we can strengthen their local food system by making focusing on nutrition sensitive agriculture rather than production oriented, market oriented production. It has to be nutrition driven agriculture. So this is why gender has to be addressed. When we talk of gender, it is both men and women, but particularly we have to focus on women because of these reasons. And we have also seen that they have high rate of participation, but they have very less access to and control over resources of like land, credit facilities, the market facilities, taking decisions, decision making. So these are the challenges that they face. Because of these challenges, they are not able to work efficiently, or that is why their productivity is very low, and they are not able to compete as well as their men farmers. So if we look at the nutritional status of women, it impacts the nutritional outcomes of children. That is why most of the nutritional interventions focus on pregnant women, on lactating women, women in the reproductive age, adolescent girls, because this is the age where we need to give the right nutrition, balanced diet to them, so the future children born from them are healthy. So because of these reasons also it is important. And then women food security group, where we all know that under the Atma cafeteria, at the block level, they promote women food security group. So these are the just like a concept built on SHG group, where a group of underprivileged women, marginalized women who are either a widow or they are single women or these type of, they are coming together as a group, and whatever the land is available with the group members, or even if any community or land, so they do some activity which gives food for the family. Initially, the aim is to make them provide food, ensure their food security and nutrition security. Once food and nutrition security is met, then the next is to provide them income security, so that whatever the surplus is, they can sell in the market, and then they can get nutrition income security also. So likewise, this is another, so these women food security groups are there to focus on these things. So this is one just example I kept here. There are many more such examples like Swapna James, who are into, if you read the success story of this lady, you can understand that she was married in an agriculture family, and so being married in an agriculture family, she was had an interest to start into agricultural production, agricultural activity, and so she got into diversified the crops in the farm. She has 45 varieties of mango, different varieties of mangoes, different varieties of jackfruits, and all season fruits within the area. And she has been able to manage all the different types of vegetables, leafy vegetables, and this is how she has achieved crop diversification. So it is a modern farm by women with integrated in farming model. So these type of success stories we want, so that women, they have enough knowledge, but they don't have enough opportunity. So that is why we will focus on women, so that they get those opportunity, make use of their capability. They have the potential, but if facilitated through their training programs, through capacity building, through some motivation, so definitely they already have the rich knowledge of the ecosystem, their local food system, the biodiversity. So all these things can put together, be connected, and then if we focus on them, definitely it is going to give a better picture, better outcomes in the coming years. So that is why I feel that women is to be discussed in all areas of agriculture. It is not only crop diversification, but whenever we talk of any areas in agriculture, we should not forget to bring women in the center of the discussion. So with this, I will close my discussion now. And if any questions are there, we'll be happy to take them.
Thank you very much, Vinita ma'am. And thank you for explaining us the interlink between the crop and the women nutrition. I would like to welcome next speaker, Dr. Firoz Hussain, Principal Scientist and Program Leader, Division of Genetics, ICAR, New Delhi. I thank you for his patience. He is from last 2 days with us, and still he has that shows that kind of patience here. About Dr. Firoz Hussain, he is a principal scientist and program leader in enhancing nutritional quality and specially trade in maize. He has developed 3 quality protein maize and 1 pro-vitamin rich maize variety. Also successfully developed multi-nutritional maize, which led to the release of 4 novel varieties on distinctions of being world's first pro-vitamin A rich variety. His research efforts made ICAR as a leading institute on molecular breeding of maize in India. So I welcome you, Firoz sir, and now session, floor is yours.
Okay, so I'm sure my slides are visible.
Very much, sir.
Okay, fine. A very good evening to each one of you. So at the outset, I thank Grameen Foundation for giving me this opportunity to, in fact, share our experience on biofortified maize development. So I'll be basically speaking on what biofortified maize we have in India and what could be its possible advantages on human health or for animal nutrition. So I work as a maize breeder at the Indian Agriculture Research Institute, New Delhi. And so we all know that maize is a source of livelihood across the world as well as India as well. And we grow almost like 10 million hectares of land and now producing almost 30 million tons of maize. But if you see the utilization pattern, unlike rice and wheat, where they are the major staple crops in India, we have around roughly around 20% is used as food or processed food, while around 60% is used as poultry feed. So it's not a major cereal. We all know that. We are basically rice and wheat eaters, but then there are certain pockets of India where maize is still a dominant crop as far as cereal is concerned. It is more preferred as food. And in fact, in entire North India during the winter time, everybody likes the bread made up of from this maize flour. It's definitely an option to use it as a vehicle for alleviating malnutrition. So I'll be basically presenting kind of hybrids which are available, developed at ICAR. Now we all have heard about QPM. QPM is nothing but quality protein maize. So what happens is traditional maize is deficient in 2 amino acids. One is called lysine and tryptophan. We all know that there are 20 essential amino acids which are basically used in the biosynthesis pathway to produce protein, and of which 9 are essential. That means we cannot synthesize in our body. We have to take it from diet, external diet. And maize protein is deficient in lysine and tryptophan. So these are the two essential amino acids out of 9. Now Dr. Wassel and Villegas at CIMMYT, they first developed quality protein maize, and for which they were awarded with World Food Prize. We all know around 2000, that is exactly the millennium year. So IRI has come out with 3 maize hybrid, PUSA HM4 improved, HM8 improved, and HM9 improved. They are in the medium maturity group, and the average yield something around 2 tons. Now, as far as the UP is concerned, the PUSA HM4 improved is adapted to UP, especially in the Western UP condition, and PUSA HM9 improved is adapted to Eastern UP condition. So in maize, we have 5 agroclimatic zones, and based on that, UP is divided into 2 zones. One is the Western UP falls under Northwestern Plain Zone, while the Eastern UP falls under Northeastern Plain Zone. So here it is already released through CVRC notified. So is there, and here the amount of lysine and tryptophan is actually present more than double than traditional maize, and therefore it provides better protein quality. Now these maize which I have shown in the last slide, they're actually in the yellow background, and we all know as a food, white background is more preferred than yellow. yellow maize. That's what is the preference. So we have also come out with now white maize, rich with lysine and tryptophan. This is in the pipeline, so it will be released in a short, in a few years' time. Now, another aspect is that the maize is having different colors. It starts from white to light yellow to orange to deep orange to red. And normally we think that more the red in color, better it is for vitamin A. That's what we normally has the notion. But when we profiled the maize, yellow maize, and we found only 3% is beta carotene. Beta carotene is a type of carotenoid which after consumption is converted into retinol, that is vitamin A inside the body. So more the beta carotene, better it is. But even though it is reddish in color, it is because of other pigments like lutein and zeaxanthin, not because of beta carotene. So there are some lines available from CIMMYT, and it was found this beta carotene is increased from 3% to 81%. And there were specific genes which are responsible. Using those genes in our breeding program, we came out with hybrid called Pusa Vivek Hybrid 27 improved. It is an early maturing hybrid, and it is adapted to Eastern UP condition. And average yield is something around 5 tons. So early means it will be around 5 to 5.5. And another important point is, so therefore it matures in 84 days. So even in the, although it has got a great adaptation in the hilly regions because the winter sets in early, so the crop has to mature early. But even in the plains, especially in this area, in the plain area where rainfall comes late, Kharif season is delayed, or there is a complete failure of the crop at the beginning, then we have very short time because anyhow we have to go ahead with planting of wheat, mustard, or even potato. So we cannot delay that. So in a short time, if there is a delay in 1.5 months or 1 month because of the delayed rain, then possibly we cannot go ahead with the planting of medium and late maturing hybrids. So in this case, the early maturing will be very handy. So here you can see the original hybrid, that is Vivek Hybrid 27, which is a normal hybrid, is around 1 ppm, and here it is almost 5.5 to 6 ppm. This happens after 6 months of storage. Later on in 2017, we have now combined both the trait, protein quality as well as vitamin A. So this is actually the first multi-nutrient rich maize where both the components are added. And though it has been released for Northern Hill Zone and Peninsular Zone, but it is in the extra early maturity group, and it does extremely well, and it is having almost 8 ppm of vitamin A, and lysine tryptophan level is also higher as compared to the normal maize. Now, later on in 2020, we come out with 2 hybrids called Pusa HQPM 7 improved. It is again a QPM plus vitamin A combination. And of course, Pusa HQPM 5 improved. Now, HQPM 7 is released for Peninsular Zone, all 5 southern states. But this HQPM 5 is adapted throughout the country. That means it can be very well grown in UP condition, whether it is Eastern UP or Western UP. And since it is in the medium maturity group, so its average yield is something around 6.5 to 7.5 tons per hectare, or rather 65 to 75 quintals per hectare, though the potential yield is somewhere around 10 tons per hectare. So these are very important things that we have a hybrid now, it can be grown across the country. So any place anybody wants, it can be grown here. In 2021, again, we had 2 hybrid released. One is called Pusa HQPM 1 improved. It is again for the across the country medium maturity group, and it is again QPM plus vitamin A. So that is one part. Another is another hybrid, Pusa Biofortified Maize Hybrid 1. It is released for Northeastern Plain Zone, specifically for the Eastern UP, and again it has got high vitamin A, lysine, and tryptophan. So at IRI currently, we are not breeding any hybrid for single trait, although that has been the initial emphasis. In the beginning, we had the QPM alone varieties or vitamin A alone varieties, but now we have always the combinations coming up well. So that means it addresses the deficiency of nutrition part more holistic way, rather than having one nutrient being rich in one hybrid. Again, in 2022, we have another 2 hybrids, Pusa Biofortified Maize Hybrid 2 and Pusa Biofortified Maize Hybrid 3. Here, the yield potential is again very high in the sense that although it's an average yield, but there are places where it gives more than 8 tons. And both cases it can be grown in UP, Western UP and Eastern UP, and both of them are again multi-nutrient rich hybrids, that is quality protein maize and vitamin A together. This is in the pipeline. We are now ready with vitamin A rich hybrid also, which is in the background of QPM and vitamin A. So 3 traits have been combined, and we have 4 hybrids in the pipeline. And we see that vitamin E is almost twice the level of tocopherol is the chemical component of vitamin E, as it is retinol for vitamin A. So now we have hybrids which is having high lysine, tryptophan, vitamin A, and vitamin E. So these are in the pipeline. So this will take some time to for going through the standard process of release. We are also working on iron and zinc. As we all know that there are substantial population, they are affected with iron deficiency-based anemia, especially in women. And it is also quite prevalent in case of men. We normally think, men are having better health in terms of iron status is concerned. But if you look at the data of India, it's not the case. Almost 20 to 22% of the adult men are having the deficiency of iron as compared to somewhere around 50% in case of women. So we have now having hybrids in the pipeline with the low phytic acids. Lower the phytic acid, better is the bioavailability of iron and zinc. So we are now ready with higher bioavailable iron and zinc along with the QPM or vitamin A combination. Again, I emphasize that we are working for always multi-nutrient rich maize development rather than a single nutrient rich maize development. In 2018, sweet corn hybrid has been released from IRI. We call it Pusa Super Sweet Corn 1. And we all know that sweet corn is very, very now getting popular anywhere we go to mall or any kind of amusement places. Sweet corn dishes will be always there. Snacks items will be there. Again, in 2020, we had another hybrid release, Pusa Super Sweet Corn 2. So these are hybrids which are available. Now, the point is these sweet corns are also again deficient in these amino acids, vitamins. So lysine, tryptophan, and vitamin A. So in our breeding pipeline, we have now are ready with sweet corn hybrids with QPM and vitamin A enriched. So if you can see, there are 5-fold increase of vitamin A, around 2-fold increase of lysine and tryptophan. So this is again a first of its kind effort in India, where sweet corn hybrids have been enriched with improved for the nutritional quality, say vitamin A and in fact protein quality. Similarly, we have also improved sweet corn for vitamin A and vitamin E. Actually, we call it pro-vitamin A. In short, we call it as pro-A, or pro-vitamin E, call it pro-E, because the component which is there available, it is not directly will be converted into vitamin A in our body. It has to go through some chemical changes. That's why the pro word is given rather than vitamin A directly in case of maize. So this is what the world map, where the orange colored countries have now recently come out with the vitamin A rich maize. And if you look at in Asia, India has released its first hybrid in 2017. Of course, the series then came in 19, 20, 21 and all that. And we are ahead of China. We are in fact the first country to come out with vitamin A rich maize in Asia. And all these hybrids listed here are from ICAR. So we have also tested this vitamin A rich maize as given to National Institute of Nutrition at Hyderabad to check bioavailability of vitamin A. Means although it is rich in grain, it is present in grain, but what happens if it is consumed? So there is an assay called Capo2 cell assay, which actually mimics the human gut. And using that assay, it was found that 2 of our hybrids, codenamed in a different way, they provide 52 to 64% of the RDA if you consume 200 grams of vitamin A. Now, 200 grams is very high. Nobody can consume per day. But whatever we consume, at least we get substantial amount of vitamin A from this vitamin A rich maize. Because many times, like for normal case, it is iron, zinc may be there. But if it is high in phytic acid, it won't be bioavailable. So here it is proven that it is not only present in higher quantity, it is also bioavailable to a great extent. We used this pro-vitamin A rich hybrids given to Directorate of Poultry Research and ICAR Institute in Hyderabad, and they have tested with a bird called Vanaraja, which is one of the very popular backyard poultry bird, and it was found when QPM and vitamin A are together, we have different diets, and it was found that it has got lesser feed requirement, or it has got higher feed conversion ratio. So lesser the feed, obviously higher is the profit, because we have to give less feed to attain the same body weight of this poultry bird. So, that means since in India 60% of the poultry, 60% of the maize goes to the feed, animal feed, especially poultry feed. So the poultry farmers can get a lot of benefit out of these enriched maize to be used as feed for their poultry birds. And these are the two international studies, not from India, and they have proven that when chicken is fed with this vitamin A rich maize, it gets accumulated in the egg yolk, and it is many times, it is 10 times higher than the traditional yellow maize. So not only we get a better feed conversion ratio, that means the more profit through providing less feed, we also get a nutritious egg. Now the question is, if you look at the Indian aspect of it, especially in the Eastern India, Northeast India, or even in the Southern India, the large proportion of the population are basically, they take egg as a part of food. So that means this nutritious egg can serve as a vehicle for providing a better nutrition as far as the vitamin A is concerned. Vitamin A is also very important. It was proven through a study that when maize is enriched with vitamin A, the aflatoxin development is much lesser than the traditional maize. Aflatoxin is basically a toxin produced by a fungi called Aspergillus flavus, and it is only infested when there is a more moisture in the grain. And we know in Indian condition, normally farmers stores their seeds in a gunny bag, and during the rainy season, they get moist and it invites this fungal infection. So if the grain is infested with this Aspergillus flavus, the aflatoxin produced by the fungus is become detrimental for health, whether it's human health or animal health, especially the poultry bird. So it is very, very problematic aspect of it. So that, but the study shows that if maize grains rich in vitamin A invites lesser infestation, so it is better it is. So it has got a lot of implications. Now, a very pertinent question is normally we face with is that, once we enhance the quality, what happens to the yield? So does it, having the lesser yield? Because no farmer will grow a biofortified maize with less yield as compared to the traditional varieties. So this is an AICRP data. That means AICRP means All India Coordinated Research Project on Maize. And we have actually improved some of the original hybrid or the traditional hybrids for QPM, vitamin A, and also developed together, both QPM and vitamin A. And it was found that there is insignificant yield difference between the original versus the improved one. Improved means the enriched one. So it is as good as normal maize. There is no yield penalty associated with these traits like protein quality or vitamin A or vitamin E. Even with low phytic acid, also we found that it is having ASPAR. That is the very good news. And then after we release this QPM9, we have taken a promotion activity in Jammu and Kashmir. We signed an MOU with Srinagar University, and they have done seed production at Kupwara. Kupwara is a district at the border areas. He's our collaborator, Dr. Zahur, and we found that this hybrid is doing excellently well there. And in fact, through farmers' participatory plant breeding seed production program, they have come out with large quantity of seeds, and which they have distributed among various tribal areas. We have also had large demonstration in 22 states. These are the photographs from Sikkim, then Uttarakhand, and Jammu and Kashmir, and various places. So now this is being liked by these places, and we are now having a lot of requests to provide large quantity of seeds with them. And West Bengal State Seed Corporation has also shown their interest to produce our biofortified seeds. Again, these are some of the examples of promotion programs in Nagaland and Tripura. We have a DBT Kisan project under which we are undertaking these activities. These hybrids have also been included in our institute program for promotion for this biofortified maize in different areas. And then as far as the publication is concerned, now ICAR is taking a very vigorous role in promoting these biofortified hybrids across crop. Dr. D.K. Yadava yesterday has mentioned that these are some of the activities. Even in fact, the Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare also, had these hybrids they have promoted, that these have been developed by ICAR. And this was again covered by Indian Express, that IRI breeds nutrition-rich hybrid maize when we came out with the first Pusa Vivek QPM9 improved, rich in QPM and vitamin A in 2017. And very recently in 2021, this biofortified maize story was covered by India Science channel, where one of the scientist journalists, Mr. Pallav Bagla, covered this story. So we thank our director for this initiative. And our biofortified maize field have been regularly visited by policymakers, administrators, scientists. Dr. Wassel is here. He is the World Food Laureate who has developed this quality protein maize, and then director of Global Maize Program. And everyone has been there for showing the efficacy or the advantage of biofortified maize here. Our fields are also regularly visited by school children, because school children are the future of the generation. They should be aware. There are now better quality maize, which is rich in vitamins, minerals, and so on and so forth. So that has been a very, very much regular feature. And now the proud moment came in September 2021, 28 September 2021, where our Honorable Prime Minister has dedicated a set of ICAR bred varieties, of which 3 varieties are from maize, of which 2 are biofortified maize. So with this, I'd like to acknowledge my council, Indian Council of Agriculture Research. I thank my director, Dr. Ashok Kumar Singh, for his tremendous support and guidance. Thanks to all the officials, administrators of this institute. Thanks to all ICAR institutes, collaborators, donors, funding agencies. And I thank the IRI maize team, collaborators, and of course, the entire administration, technical staff, student, and research fellows. So this is a small team I lead at IRI. They are all, there are Dr. Vignesh and Dr. Rajkumar. They are my colleagues as a scientist, and this is what my research team, full of enthusiastic students, research fellows, and trainees. So with this, I'd like to thank each one of you for your patient hearing. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for your valuable contribution and sharing and very informative session on maize varieties, biofortified, and how it can impact women, children, and even bird. And through bird, how can we enrich our intake nutrition? So thank you very much again. And thank you very much for providing us maize varieties for experiment here in UP. So it is in cultivation phase, sir. We will share its impact studies soon with you.
Okay, I forgot to tell one more thing. Sorry, our hybrids have now been commercialized by 6 companies, and we have signed 11 MOUs, of which there are 2 farmer producer organizations are also there. So I look forward to kind of cooperation or any help you require from IRI. We'll be very happy to provide seeds. And if you want to produce seeds and popularize it, that part is also welcome from our side. Thank you very much.
There is a demand from the FPOs. They want to go for a commercial fortified crop cultivation. So I will definitely contact you and will access those varieties from you. Thank you very much, sir.
Thanks.
Taking this session forward, I request Shristi Jha to attend questions from the audience.
So considering the time, I'll be taking up 2 questions. One of it is, what is the difference in yield of biofortified seeds and standard seeds? Any one of you promotes, Firoz or Vinita, any one of you can answer.
Well, as far as maize is concerned, I have very clearly showed a slide that The traits which we deal with, it doesn't have any yield penalty. It is at par with the traditional maize. But of course, there are certain traits like if you want to increase protein or oil beyond the level, then it has the yield penalty. But those traits we are not breeding. We are breeding for protein quality. Quality means to modify the amino acid balance, not to increase the protein per se. So largely the traits which are being addressed even in rice and wheat or any other crop, they don't have any yield penalty per se. Maybe my other colleagues can add on.
So as far as rapeseed mustard is concerned, the quality varieties, although they have some sort of yield penalty, and but the constituents they are having the like less erucic acid and oleic acid, high content of oleic acid, linoleic acid. So this makes, but the main thing is that there is no separate market. Trading is this mustard is done not for the quality material. So this is a big deal and challenge before us how we could promote this quality materials. So this remains a question actually.
Right.
Challenge for all the crops.
Thank you so much. I believe this question is directed to Pramod sir. What should be ideal moisture percentage of mustard for storing?
It should be around 10%, 8 to 10% before storing, because below that level, actually above the this level, because seeds are living materials. When we store this, then the metabolic activities goes on, and the moisture content is more than 10%, then seed gets spoiled. And another problem is with this quality material, because mustard is known to be not affected by any of the stored pests. But this quality mustard, particularly the double low mustard, they need extra precautions, because these are affected by the stored grain pest also, because this is not having the more of the erucic acid and glucosinate. That's why it is very prone to be affected by the stored grain pest.
Just the last question, sir. Thank you so much. What is the difference of cost of production of biofortified seeds and standard hybrid seeds?
As far as seed production is quite different thing actually. The hybrid seed production, it requires isolation, distance, and then A line, R line, and B line, all this has to be maintained. But as far as from the production point of view, at the farmers level, almost there is no difference between the cost of cultivation. Same package and practices are applied for the non-quality as well as the quality mustard.
All right. Thank you so much, sir. Firoz, sir, would you like to add in anything?
Yeah, I join Dr. Pramod to say that, it's same thing for us. There is absolutely no difference in terms of, or rather any change in cost of production, whether it's in traditional maize or biofortified maize. The cost of production and the package of practices to be followed is exactly the same.
Agreed.
So we are getting nutrition without any additional cost. That is the point.
Right. Very well said, sir. Thank you so much. So I would now proceed with the vote of thanks, for which I would like to invite Arabda Das, Director Program Excellence at Grameen Foundation India. Over to you, Arabda, sir.
Thanks, Srishti, a moderator for the 2 days session. I hope, Srishti, I'm audible.
Yes, you are. Very.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, it was really a profound privilege and honor to host this webinar on biofortified crop varieties and its usage case in terms of webinar on biofortified crop varieties to improve nutrition and income of farmers in Uttar Pradesh. I think Uttar Pradesh would be probably very minimalistic here. I think in the like Binu has mentioned, not only in Uttar Pradesh but across the globe. that is the backdrop, and it was really a profound privilege to host this webinar. And at the same time, I would like to express my gratitude to members of the audience, esteemed guest speakers, and delegates to the webinar for their presence, for making this webinar a great success. I extend my gratitude to Dr. D.K. Yadava, Assistant Director General Seed at the Indian Council of Agricultural Research, Krishi Bhavan, New Delhi, for taking out time from his busy schedule to grace the event and explain the role of ICAR, Indian Council of Agriculture Research, in development of biofortified crop varieties. I would also like to thank Dr. Vanu Pratap Singh, World Bank consultant on food and agriculture and former director of the State Institute for Management of Agriculture, Department of Agriculture, UP, Lucknow, for explaining the role of government and private sector in nutrition and soil nutrition promotion. I also extend our gratitude to Dr. Pankaj Tripathi, Director of the State Institute of Management of Agriculture, Uttar Pradesh, who explained how SEMA is playing role in the capacity building of FPOs and how they have plans and are working on biofortified crops. Dr. Binu Chirian, Country Manager, India, Harvest Plus, for explaining the role of Harvest Plus in building visibility and promoting biofortification. Dr. C.N. Misra, Scientist, Plant Breeding, ICAR, Indian Institute of Wheat and Barley Research, for sharing and explaining his experience in wheat improvement and listing the different varieties available. Dr. Vinita Kumari, Deputy Director, Gender Studies, for helping us understand the role of women in crop diversification and nutrition. Dr. Krishendu Chattopadhyay, the Distinguished Principal Scientist at ICAR, National Rice Research Institute, NRRI, Cuttack, Odisha, for introducing various rice varieties. Dr. Firoj Hussain, Principal Scientist and Program Leader, MAGE, Division of Genetics, ICAR, IARI, New Delhi, for his talk on biofortified maize varieties. Sir, in fact, Dr. Hussain, I was really so impressed and enthused by your talk that if I would, start talking about the kind of, narrative you have said for today, it has opened my own ideas on how we just cannot limit ourselves as far as, biofortification is concerned. It was really an immense privilege for us to have us in this forum today. Thank you very much, sir. Dr. Pramod Kumar Rai, Director of ICAR, DR, MR and PC, AICRP on I and MR, explain the role of mustard varieties. Sir, in fact, the kind of, the moisture content that you have said, the tone, 10%, it was really, it is going to help the farming community that we are working with, sir. And it will surely, help in terms of, when we'll be, practicing that and promoting and propagating that wherever we are, in terms of how we, when we'll be promoting mustard, as far as the biofortification is concerned. But last but not the least, I express my gratitude to our CEO, Mr. Prabhat Lal, our agri team, the Transform Agriculture Ecosystem team in UP and the ENY and Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation for supporting this initiative. And then I would also like to thank Rajnikant, Anita Yadav, Tarun and Srishti for the overall management of this webinar and for helping make it a grand success. Thank you so much, sir. And thank you all for joining this webinar for 2 days. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Arabda. So it's a wrap from our side. You can also see the video on our social media channels. In case you or any one of you have missed the complete session, do share it, and we'll see you for further in next webinars. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Srishti.